Hi everybody, I'm Stefan for a-tutsplus.com, and in this first episode of the series we are going to create the element you saw in the preview. So let's get started. Let's change the size of this composition to let's see, 500 by 500 for start, and select the ellipse tool and just double click to create a circle and change the stroke of the circle to 2, and let's change the size of the circle and make the stroke size to 1 and set the reference image to 50%. Now let's select our type tool and let's use our digital font right here and type some numbers, and I'm going to take my text and open the source text and just paste an expression that you can see here, and it's going to be included with the project files as a text file, so you can use it, and just scale down the text and place it in the center of our composition. And it's going to be very useful for us to use a guides in order to place our elements in the center of our compositions. So that's for the text, and as you can see now we have some random numbers moving here. Let's hide the guides. Now let's take our pen tool and just draw a shape just like so, and we are going to use the repeater for this purpose. And let's open the repeater options, increase the number of copies to 20 for example, open the transform repeater and set the position to 0 and set the rotation to 1 degree or so, maybe 5, and let's see, so let's set the number to 15 and let's set this to 18 or 90, just like so. And now let's duplicate the layer and just flip it. After that, duplicate our main circle, and we are going to use another modifier here which is called trim paths to trim the shape. So we are going to just scale it down a bit right here, and now let's see, we need to offset this to the side right here, and now we can duplicate this and just offset the shape like so. And if we turn off our reference image, we can see that we need to tweak this a bit, and now we need to select these elements and link them to one of the elements, and now we can rotate this. So I'm going just to alt click and type wiggle 3,180 or actually 1, and we have our element rotating here. Now we need to create these dots moving here, so I'm going to just click and type Arial and just type some dots, make them bold, and just reduce the distance to -60. And that's very easy to do. We need to animate the opacity. Open the range selector, go to advanced options and change from units to index. We need to go to the opacity and set it to 0, and if we set this to 4, we can play with the offset and see what happens. So go to the first frame, set a keyframe, move 10 frames forward, set this to 1, move 10 frames forward, set this to 2, move 10 frames forward, set this to 3, move 10 frames forward and set this to 4. Now let's select these keyframes, move 10 frames forward again and set this to 0. Select all the keyframes, right click and set them to toggle hold keyframe. This way they will turn on just like so and disappear. So let's alt click on the offset and go to property and select whoop out type cycle number of keyframes expression, which basically is going to whoop out this. So pretty easy thing. Just duplicate the layer, move it right here, and this is our first element. So let's call this one 1. Just double click on the ellipse tool again and go to the settings and just reduce the size. Like so, and then let's select our pen tool and let's draw another shape right here and set the size of the stroke to 5 this time, and we are going to use the repeater again to animate this element. So go to the repeater, set the number of copies to 8 for example, set the position to 0, set the rotation to 1 or maybe a bit more, and 12 copies seems okay. Set the end opacity to 0 and we need to set this to 6. Alt click and type wiggle 1,6 and probably set this to 2. This should work. Just duplicate it and flip the layer and reduce the opacity a bit. As you can see, this is our design so far, and we need to create some more stuff here. As you can see, we missed something here, and we did on one shape layer the circle and the stroke, so we need to open it and delete the shape one. So we have our circle. Let's rename it. And on the second layer we have only and on the second layer we have only the moving element. So let's duplicate it and flip it back. And we did that because we need to trim this element right here. So just like so, and we need to delete the repeater and set the start to 48, or actually 52, and set the offset to 1. And let's turn on the guides, and we need to set it to -1. Let's see if we can do it. It's such a pain to work on such a small resolution. So let's set this to -5. Like so. Just duplicate the layer and flip it. And now we need to create some additional elements here, as you can see. Set the stroke to 1, and now we can duplicate these elements and move them just like so. And just move them to the top part as well. And now we need to do one more thing to finish the first part of this design, and it's the this one here. And in order to do that, just double click again and set the size to 1.5 for the stroke. And we are changing the size of the stroke from here, and not using scale, because if we scale it down, the thickness of the stroke will change as well. So that's why we use this option right here. And now we need to open the stroke and just click on right here on dashes. Just click, and now we can change the size, and I think that size of 4 or 3 works fine. And now we need to add another modifier, which is trim paths, again to trim so, like so. And as you can see, we are almost ready to go now. Now we need just to duplicate this and flip it like so, and select all the layers and pre-compose them and call this 2 for our second part. And as you can see, this is the first part of our interface, and in the next episode we are going to continue working on the interface, so stay tuned for more.